Folks, welcome to another episode of Pick Up and Play. This is going to be a very special episode today because my guest has been the sponsor of this show for months, and he's got so much stuff going on, so I had to suspend my sponsorship just for a week so that he and I could have a conversation on air. And so we're going to get into all of the stuff going on with Vault 31 Bar with the owner of Vault 31 Bar, David. But before we get into all of that, I have a few announcements to make, some very special things that I want to share with you all. First and foremost, my Lo-Fi event is coming back. We planned this Lo-Fi event as a monthly, but we took the month off in June because Vault 31 Bar has been going through a ton of remodeling and putting in a lot of work down there. And it shows. And obviously, if you stick around to the end of the episode, you're going to learn everything about what's going on down there, what they've got planned, what they have planned for the future, all of those great things. But for now, I want to let you all know that Saturday, July 13th, is going to be the return of Lo-Fi at the Vault with yours truly. I'm going to be spinning all the Lo-Fi tunes. And of course, I've got giveaways courtesy of Kiraga Records, as well as a few special surprises to share with everyone once we actually get to the evening. So make sure that if you haven't, that you check out the event at the Facebook event link in the description for this video, and you can find out more about the event, mark whether you're interested or going, and hopefully I'll see you at Vault 31 Bar on Saturday the 13th for a real comfy good time. It's going to be kind of a cookout theme this month, and so we've got some kitchen specials we're working on. And I've got some really great lo-fi video game music and video game jazz covers to share with you all at Lo-Fi at the Vault. So really, really looking forward to that. But I also need to tell you about next week's show. So this is going to be a very special episode today. And then next week, we will be returning to our regular numbered episodes with Daniel Pesina, the original actor responsible for Johnny Cage, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and other characters within the Mortal Kombat franchise in the very early days. I was so honored to be able to sit down and talk with Daniel Pesina, and it's probably one of the best interviews I've ever conducted in my career, and I cannot wait to share that with you all next week. That's going to be next week's episode. So make sure that if you haven't subscribed yet, that you get subscribed on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're following me on Spotify or whatever platform, whatever podcast platform you're listening to this to, because I'm telling you now, Master Pesina is just the first of many interviews that I have lined up. We are so excited to have the entire cast of Mortal Kombat coming to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo in September. And I got connected with their agent, thanks to our friend Ian McCraner. And that agent has been hooking me up with hopefully as many members of the Mortal Kombat cast as possible. And so far, things are going really, really well. And I cannot wait to start putting those interviews out into the world. So looking forward to that next week. But for today, I've got a special interview with David from Vault 31 Bar. David from Vault 31 Bar, what the hell are you doing here?
I ask myself that all the time. I end up in real strange places.
You've been my biggest supporter, my biggest, my sponsor. You have made this show happen for months now. And I could not let another month go by without talking about all of the stuff that you've got going on down at Vault 31. And I wanted to talk to the man face to face. So I don't know if this is going to be a regular episode. I don't know if this is going to be like a special episode, but one way or another, you and I need to have a conversation, sir.
Yeah, let's get into it.
First of all, I think I want to work backwards. So the first thing we need to talk about, I think, is how's the remodel going? What's going on with the coffee space? You just bought the place next door to yours, right?
Right.
And what's going on there?
Oh, what's going on now? So today's been a fun adventure. Even as we get onto this chat a little bit late, our walk-in just showed up. So as we purchase a space next door, we are expanding. We're getting a cafe. We're doing an all ages internet gaming thing. It's gonna be great. We are finally in the stages of all the demo is done, and we're now actually like building the thing. So it's like starting to come together, and it's really exciting. As I said before, our walk-in just got here, which is one of our biggest issues we've had with the bar already. Is we just don't have enough cold storage.
Yeah.
So we're solving that issue. It's starting to come together. It's gonna be really exciting.
Not to throw you under the bus a little, but you were like running out of stuff all the time, and that's because
all the time. Yeah, it's the cafe solves a lot of our issues, and our biggest thing is we've outgrown our little fishbowl, so to speak. We did a huge kitchen remodel that we did not anticipate being as successful as it was. Like we created these little burgers, and they're flying out of here. We're prepping anywhere between 50 to 60 pounds of beef a night, and we are selling out of that, and we just don't have enough space. Like that's literally half of our issues. People complain that we run out of stuff too fast, is because we just simply can't store enough of it. And so this fixes that now. And so the popularity of the burgers will hopefully continue, and we'll be able to sling these things out in larger quantities.
Yeah, I attended in January. I came to hang out and support a friend of ours that was doing a thing down there, and I remember ordering the Bat Cave, and it was basically a grilled cheese sandwich on crack. There was all kinds of stuff on it. It was amazing. And then the last time I ordered a Bat Cave, it was presented more as like a patty melt, like a
beefy
smash
boy
burger. Yeah. So you basically just added smashed hamburgers to the Bat Cave sandwich, which was already my favorite, but then adding that burger just kind of leveled it up a little bit.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing we were really missing at the bar. Is our pizzas are good and they're great and all, but it's not really like that bar food that people want. They want that greasy, gonna feel awful food, to be honest, and that finally fills the void.
I don't know if anyone ever told you this, but it turns out grease and salt and fat do great for
wonderful.
bar food.
Yeah, hell of a drug.
I know it. So it sounds like the kitchen remodel went really well. It sounds like the cafe's coming along.
Overall, kitchen remodel has done well, but what's pretty on brand with this place, which is again what happened today, which is why we're so late, is things just go wrong, things just go missing. Every time we get stuff shipped here, it's just a nightmare. But we're getting through it. We're making our progress.
Do you have any kind of an idea? Like, I mean, obviously you're not ready to set a hard date for the opening of the cafe space, but like, do you have a rough idea generally of when you expect to have things up and running?
Realistically, the way things are going, we're still hoping by August, late August at the latest. If our current timeline continues the way it is, we should actually have that space usable, meaning as like overflow space in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Whether or not we'll have it functional as a cafe side, we don't know yet, but we'll at least be able to use it for seating, and our walk-in should be done as well too. So a lot of issues will actually just be fixed here in the next couple of weeks.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, and I know you and I have kind of talked off camera about some of the ideas you have for the space, some of what you're hoping to do, overhauling the sound and that sort of thing. But the big thing that I've been really interested in, and the thing that I've been really talking about as much as possible in the sponsored segment of the show, this cafe space is going to be all ages.
Yes,
which means another level of inclusivity, which is incredibly important to you down at Vault 31 Bar.
Yeah, we want all walks of life to be comfortable and safe and happy and have fun.
Was there a specific motivation behind taking that approach, or is that just your personality coming out in your space?
I'm going to be 100% honest, 100% transparent here. The all ages thing was not my idea. I'm not much of a kid fan, but I know blocking that off and just being like, no kids, never, is just not great, right? So I'm going to set that difference aside. We're going to allow all ages. We've got a bunch of staff and crew who are super jazzed about it, and they're just going to run forward with it. So I'm gonna hang out in my little bar side in the shadowy darkness, and the cafe is just going to run and thrive and do its thing. And I'm not really going to have my influence on that side, if that makes sense. Because again, I feel like that I don't want to use the word hatred towards small children, but it can kind of get to there, and so I don't want that to jade or to cloud anything that can potentially happen over there, because it's going to be such an awesome space when it's done. It's going to be super, super cool. Just not my space, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean,
I'm not the target group for this thing.
So the way I think about it is like this, right? Obviously, grown adults hanging out with kids is usually pretty frowned upon, with the exception of your parents, right? And there are so many nerds that are parents now that would like to have a place to be able to go where they don't have to worry about their kids being allowed. Because right now, Vault 31 Bar is a bar, and no one under 21 is allowed to hang out there.
Yeah, big adults.
And so, if you're somebody who, had the gall, the wherewithal to bear children, you might still want to hang out in nerdy spaces.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's an excellent demographic for something like the cafe side, where it's not necessarily about like, you know, kids hanging out with other kids as much as it is families hanging out with other families.
And that's what we want to emphasize too. A lot of people are getting the idea that this is going to be like a Chuck E. Cheese, and that couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. Like, no, this is just going to be a chill hangout spot for family to game and to experience the geek and vault culture that we've built here for everybody.
Cool. Very, very cool. Can you give us any kind of an idea of what new stuff you're going to be offering on the cafe side that you're not offering currently?
Like menu wise, drink wise,
Yeah,
or
either or both.
yeah, we really want to hyper focus on brunch and kind of like grab and go portability items. So our brunch menu is going to consist of things like bagel sandwiches and like Crunchwrap style meals, quick bites type of stuff like that, bowls, scrambles, and then we'll have some pretty hearty stuff as well, some big breakfast items like big omelets, breakfast burritos. So we're gonna try to tackle all that fun stuff. We've had a couple like secret brunch days for a couple of our really, really awesome regulars, and those have gone off super well. They're kind of like test menu items. We got to experiment. We got to
for sure
test our subjects here, and it's gone over super well. And so we built this really, really super fun brunch menu, and we're excited to rock that. And then of course on the espresso side, which learning a lot about espresso environment and coffee environment. But we haven't really quite developed a menu yet, as again, it's not really my wheelhouse. But we will be looking for a cafe manager or somebody to kind of make like a big career jump here and that's looking to open a cafe. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Anyone that's looking, we're going to be looking probably mid-July for that individual to help us with the menu.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, fingers crossed that you find the right person and that things go smoothly. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the new space ends up looking like. I'm looking forward to seeing how the two spaces are going to integrate with each other.
Me too. We're still working on that.
Well, I mean, one of the things that you had talked about doing that you're really excited about is putting in some more gaming stations and finally being able to get moving forward with the esports stuff that you're really passionate about. So can you tell me a little bit about your relationship with esports? Like, what are some of your favorite games to watch and follow and teams to follow, that kind of thing?
Yeah, esports and me, we go way back. I got my start in Quake. I was a huge competitive Quake player, Quake 2, Quake 3.
Nerd.
Yeah. Like
nerd.
No. Like I shared the stage with like Vu and Fatality and these guys. Like I could hold my ground in some Quake. I won my first car in a Quake tournament. Like, I can play.
My early LAN days were Duke 3D and Quake 2. So like, I'm only making fun of you because like I was right there with you. So
huge deathmatch gamer, and so and that kind of transitioned into like Unreal Tournament, and then into Counter-Strike, and so on and so forth. Like this is like early stuff, right? And then through high school, college, kind of took a break from the esports environment because life gets in the way. But now I'm kind of more of a spectator. I'm a huge Cloud9 fan. And that's mostly because of my wife Chrissy. She kind of got into Cloud9. Nice. We watch a lot of League of Legends, a lot of ESL tournament stuff, Counter-Strike, Rocket League, Valorant. There's a bunch of really cool esports stuff happening out there, and so. Esports is huge, and we'd love to make a window for people that aren't familiar that how big esports really is, and how easy and accessible it is to actually watch. This stuff is just streamable everywhere, and so creating a hub for that has been super, super fun. And so we did the addition of the PCs, as you probably saw recently. We've got 5 on the bar side. We're going to do 5 on the cafe side. And we're going to be starting esport team leagues, young and old, recreational, professional. Like we'll get our hands dirty in all kinds of different squares.
Full on team matches.
I'm super excited. I used to do LAN parties back in the day where we would like squad up and kind of go in like different sections and stuff like that. So I'm excited to create different teams to potentially compete in like local ladders and work their way up. Hopefully with my experience and maybe even like coaching background, that we could actually build something pretty cool.
I love the idea of that. I know that you and I had a sort of unofficial conversation about maybe some shoutcasting stuff that
Yeah,
neither of
yeah,
us have committed
and
to
that
fully
too.
yet.
So heck
Maybe
yeah.
so.
Absolutely. When we run our next tournament here, we'll get you involved, and yeah, it's gonna be a great time.
But that's something that's been on my like bucket list for a while, is to
Mhm.
start working on, if for no other reason, to like, then to at least have a few clips, start creating a reel, and start sort of shopping it around to other places where I can maybe, do more of that kind of thing. Because here's the thing, man, turntables are heavy. Speakers
Mhm.
are heavy, and if I can like roll up, or honestly even just do it from here, if I can like log in with my
Yeah,
internet connection and be like, I have a microphone, let's go to
that's
work,
that's how a lot of it works too. Is you can shoutcast from the comfort of your home or your office. We can link you up that way. We can pipe you into the audio that we have. Yeah, that's absolutely something we can do. Live
Sure.
Preds is great now, but yeah, the beauty of the internet is we could totally do that.
But all of that sort of selfish interest aside, I love that you're focusing on the esports stuff, especially because we had a
Mhm.
really good esports space in downtown Portland that has unfortunately had to close a couple of years ago.
I think you're
Um,
referring to Outrage.
yep.
Yeah, that was
So
a cool spot.
that was owned by a friend of a friend,
Mhm.
and so I was paying very close attention to that space. I couldn't quite get myself in there before the pandemic hit.
Mhm.
But I had attended one or two functions there, and it was a cool space. B, it was the kind of space that, like, is really sort of lacking in this area, because esports, everybody knows esports is big, but in Portland, like, saying esports is big usually refers to something you saw online and nothing that's really going on around town.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to have like a physical space, somewhere that actually can be one of those beacons of, like, if you're actually into esports and you want to leave your cave and come out and play with other nerds,
Check it out. Yeah.
then here's a place where you can do that.
Yeah, and again, it's just getting that exposure out there. I As a physical sport, I used to also play roller derby.
Mm.
And as a sport that is, you would say, popular, nobody knows about it. It's kind of one of those things where if you're in it, you think like everyone should know about this and it's awesome, but then you like pull yourself away and you realize nobody knows what the heck this thing is.
Yeah.
Esports is weirdly kind of like that, where it's so massive to the point where viewership is bigger than like the NBA, but yet like nobody knows what the hell it is, or like how
Yeah.
big it really is. It's so bizarre to me.
Yeah. I think there was an interview I saw a couple of months ago with Mr. Beast, where he was talking about how he does the same amount of views in a week on average that the Super Bowl gets every year.
Yeah, isn't that
And
those statistics are fascinating.
and the idea that somehow the Super Bowl is still more legitimate and somehow still a bigger deal and more impressive
Than some
out
content
there
creator,
in the sort of like social hierarchy, compared to something like a Mr. Beast, who's doing a Super Bowl every week in terms of
viewers.
views. And yeah, just the idea of that is so insane to me that
You can even argue baked in sponsors.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Like,
it's
just
just
raking that
absolutely
in.
crazy that he's
Yeah.
doing that kind of number. And part of that interview, that same interview that I saw where he was talking about that, he was also talking about how, like, he struggles with sponsorship sometimes because traditionally with the internet, with YouTube, sponsors are paying for views. And
Right.
the more views you get, the more the sponsors have to pay. But his views are so high that sponsors can't pay that. It's outside of their budget.
Mhm.
And so that's why he had to develop his merch line and develop Feastables and develop the burgers or whatever, like whatever else it is
Other
he's
revenue
selling.
streams you can get, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he had to
there is a
find
ceiling apparently.
other ways to monetize because he was just outpacing the budgets of these massive corporations that
Right.
couldn't afford to hurl money at him anymore. So yeah, it's a fascinating conversation, but it's one that I think sort of, informs this conversation that you and I are having about how, like, esports is really huge, and yet
Mhm.
it feels like people don't really know
Have
about
no
it
idea what
still,
it
as
is.
big
Yeah.
as it is.
You have to like
Um,
explain every piece of it, and it's just like what?
Yeah. So I think
How do
it's
you not know?
I think it's definitely the right direction for the bar.
Mhm.
But then, in addition to the esports stuff, you're obviously hosting a lot of other types of events, just, flipping through your Instagram. I see bingo nights. I see mini painting.
Our bingo nights are fire. We have a really infamous, if you haven't seen it yet, our bingo prize table. We go hard for our bingo prize table.
Lots of Nickelback CDs.
I'm talking Nickelback CDs. Yeah, that started as a weird joke. That's kind of one of those things where if you know, you know. I'm not going to get into that one. But I mean, it's on the small end for micro prizes. You know, we've got fun things like Rubik's Cubes and gift cards and T-shirts and like fun fidget things, all the way up to like consoles, AAA titles, like spa days, all kinds of cool stuff.
Hold up. So you can go play bingo at Vault 31 Bar and win a PS5 or something?
Yeah, we've done that recently. Yeah. The one we did for Christmas, we did a Switch, a PS5, a N64 bundle, a Series X, some other console, and like another $2,000 worth of like local stuff. So we don't do that every month, but
I'm not going to the right bingo nights. Apparently, that's
right.
That's
we
what
go,
I'm
we go ham.
Yeah, I need to be coming out for bingo.
But our monthly ones are super great. We're still giving out AAA titles. We're still giving out, fancy controllers, like high-end hardware and a bunch of really fun gimmicky stuff. But lately I've been really enjoying going around to other local supporting businesses like Batcave Games and Double Jump Video Games and spending like $100 there for a bingo night. And then people are winning that stuff and freaking out. That's been super fun.
To that end though, you are very much a hardware guy.
I'm a huge hardware nut.
I will never forget the first time I went in there and I saw a Gamers Nexus bar mat on the bar, and I immediately knew, like, I'm not just in a gamer's place. I'm in my place. I'm in the right place.
You want to talk about fan RPMs? Yeah, I got you.
Like, oh my God, dude. So a lot of folks who listen to the show know, I've talked about it at length. I grew up in a computer store. I very much grew up a hardware guy. I was soldering wireless microphones together, in the 8th grade for my science project
and stuff. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So like learning how to solder at a young age, learning how to like work with circuits. I spent a good chunk of my high school career learning how to work with like fiber optic circuits and stuff like that. So like,
oh yeah.
Like having that background in computers and hardware and then going into a place that actually has a Gamers Nexus bar mat on the bar.
Yeah.
This like that to me took it from just another nerd bar to no, this is home.
And there's a couple people that recognize that too. It's like we see the Gamers Nexus thing and it's like, all right, this guy probably knows what the hell he's talking about. And they'll look around, they see the hardware, they're like, yeah, all this stuff is hooked up by SDI and it's got a 2.5 gig backbone and everything. You're like, yeah, all right. Yeah, it's sick.
So to that end, you're buying some more computers for the other side of the space. What kind of hardware are you putting in there? What do these rigs look like?
I'm actually debating that as we speak. So I'm probably going to purchase everything. Prime Day is coming up in like a week or two. And so prices are going to dip for computers. So we're probably going to buy everything then. We're getting 6 new rigs. Okay. The idea right now is to just mimic what we currently have. So the rigs we're running now aren't very old. We built them in December. So they're 14th gen i5, 14600s with 4070 supers, 32 gigs of Corsair Dominator. They've got 2 terabytes of SSD. So they're running the Samsung 980s, kilowatt power supplies, MSI Bazooka boards. What else is in there? All Noctua cooling. Love Noctua fans.
And all hand built, right?
Yeah, we had a PC built party. So early December when all the parts came, we summoned our Discord fam. We're like, hey, who knows how to build a rig? And like we all just built PCs all day. It was super fun. We're gonna do that again.
You're gonna call me? You're gonna call me, right?
Yeah, if anyone wants to learn how to build a PC or just like help, swing on by. It was a super fun day. I'm in my element. Like, I love this stuff. So we're thinking of probably just buying the same stuff. My concern is because we kind of built these things that, I mean, they're not necessarily frame shredders, so to speak, but they'll play any AAA game at 1080p with like 120 frames. That was kind of the goal, right?
Easy.
AAA esport titles. Let's get some high frame out there. Does anyone honestly care about that on the casual cafe side? So that's kind of where I'm leaning at. Like, do I need to spend $2,500 on a rig, or can I get away with like half of that? That's my debate.
Do you really want my opinion on that?
I'd love to. Yeah, I would absolutely love opinions.
Match the hardware.
Yeah, go ham.
Well, not go ham per se, because we're not talking about i9s, we're not talking about 4090s. But what I think needs to happen is the hardware needs to be as close as possible to the other side, so that you have an even setup for the tournaments and stuff, because the more
Yeah.
you can sort of remove that excuse from the overly competitive man children that will inevitably be playing on it and be pissed off that they're losing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's that. I don't have a ton of experience with managing esports events. But I have seen enough gaming tournaments and I've seen enough LAN parties to know that like
Hardware's a factor. Yeah.
some
Especially
folks,
unmatched hardware.
yeah, exactly. Some folks will find any reason to blame anyone other than their own scrub tier talent. So
their own hands, right?
Right. So you gotta kind of take that away from them. And so I think by matching the hardware as close as possible, that's the best that you can do. Now that being said, an i5 and a 4070, like you said, you were trying to hit 1080 specs.
Well, just high frame at 1080. Like nothing's going to run at 100 plus frames at 4K. Like we're not doing that. But like 1080p max settings, 100 plus frames. Like that was kind of our goal.
That's way more than you need for 1080. I mean those i5s, i5s are solid little processors. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. But the 4070 is definitely more than you need for 1080. Absolutely.
Yeah, the 14 gens are pretty good. They've got those stupid efficiency and P cores or whatever. Like I mean they're fine. We have them all unlocked anyway. I know I don't want to have that conversation if Intel frustrates me to no end, but that's a whole other show. Their naming scheme is atrocious.
I've been all AMD since the K6 I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, like, for all of its shortcomings in the last 20 years, I'm glad to see Ryzen having its heyday, because it was tough being a Team Red kid for a long time.
And that also goes to the other part of the conversation too, which we haven't really thought about, is Ryzen would be phenomenal in the cafe side, because we're still looking at getting these machines to be like a creative productivity space. So things like Photoshop suites, Blender suites, Microsoft, et cetera, like productivity tools, and core count usually helps a lot with that. So that's kind of where we were leaning on as well, is maybe getting some Team Red boxes in here with some like 12, 16 core count rigs, and that will really help with that.
I mean, if you can go Ryzen 7 instead of having to go with Intel 5.
That's the hardware side, like trying to convince me, like, yeah, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I didn't really think about that because I know you said you wanted to use product. Well, I guess
the thing is, a lot of the productivity tools we're going to be using are all like cloud-based now. So like it's almost a non-issue.
What kind of tools are you talking about putting in there for the productivity stuff?
Adobe Suites, Microsoft Suites. We've already got a bunch of seeds for that, just to kind of like test it out, and it works really pretty good.
Okay.
What else? We can put like OBS tools on there for people that want to stream. Any type of other like creativity production tools, we could probably get commercial license for and explore. But we wanted, of course, have hardware that could support it.
So what would that look like then? If somebody on a Tuesday afternoon says, "Hey, I want to use your computer to Photoshop something for work," or "Hey, I want to use your computer to sit there for like 9 hours and create some BS in Blender."
No problem. I'm sorry.
The question is, like, from a business standpoint, like is there a minimum purchase, or is it just like open for anybody to walk in and use?
We've been doing just a flat rate, which on the bar side makes sense because people usually kind of hang out for a period of time and get a couple different things. On the cafe side, it might be a little bit differently. We're looking at maybe like an hourly approach, but nothing crazy. Like I've seen some of these computer labs charging $10, $15 an hour for like productivity tools. I think that's just like absolutely outrageous. So if you buy like, a cappuccino from us, you get your first hour free. And then maybe it's like $2 or $3 an hour after that, or something like pretty inexpensive and tolerable to do. We've learned that it's not that effective trying to squeeze as much as we can from like every single visit. Like that repeat visit and getting people to keep coming back is what's really saving our butts. And so if we can just keep things effective and cost effective and usable, like we want people to come and actually like use our tools and enjoy using them and get productivity out of it. So if we can just make them obtainable for everybody, I think it would help.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I think that, this kind of goes back to a conversation that you and I have had a couple of times now where, it's about building the culture. It's about yes, repeat business, because it is a business. You got to keep the doors open and the lights on.
Yeah.
somebody's gotta pay for all that RGB, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But at the same time, like the way that you do that is by building trust in a
Mhm.
community that is notoriously difficult to obtain that trust.
Mhm.
Nerds don't trust easily, but the beautiful thing that I found is that when nerds do eventually learn to trust, they trust deeply.
Yeah, they commit. It's a pretty awesome family. We love our nerds, we love our geeks, but yeah, to not make things expensive and not make things unobtainable is absolutely not the goal. So we'll definitely keep things affordable and easy for all.
And if you can get a breakfast bagel,
Yeah, we get a bagel, eat some
while you're
food,
sitting there, it's not bad, man. A little hot
but
chocolate.
yeah, we're working on some high school projects. If you just need some productivity tools, or if you've got an art project you want to work on, or if you just want to mess around in Photoshop, it's fun. Like, come on down.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a really, really cool idea.
Yeah.
So you've hosted a lot of other events at the bar. One of the things that we talked about was overhauling the sound system in there, and you have some plans for that. You want to start having more like live music and more like live events and stuff in there.
I'd love that.
What's your hope for that?
Yeah, we're not trying to be a club of any kind, but getting some local music should begin. Local DJs, small groups, small bands.
I don't know anybody.
Nights. Yeah, I don't know anybody either. No, not a single one. Karaoke nights we have kind of a weird hybrid Guitar Hero karaoke night thing going on right now. So expanding on that is going to be super exciting. I know we've kind of talked about that a little bit, but yeah, excited to get some decent audio in here because one of the things we had to get rid of through the pandemic to survive was our like killer sound system. We had a pretty amazing one when we opened, but that was one of the things that get cut, early on. So rebuilding that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, and I love the ideas that we've been kind of throwing around. I want to like for sure continue on hosting things like the Lo-Fi night. One of the things that I really love about that night is it's so chill. And like, I don't have to have that usual pressure of performing. I don't, this is a story that I've never told on the podcast, but, when we opened for Twista, the promoter forgot to hire an MC for the night. And this was at the Paris in like downtown Portland. This is probably, I don't know, 2018, late 2018. My MC and I were down there as one of the opening acts. And we were doing sound check, and because I am the way that I am, I was first to set up and do sound check, and then I was barking orders at the sound guy and doing the whole thing, right? Well, in the midst of all of that sound check chaos, I am talking to the promoter, and he tells me that nobody, like, I was like, all right, who's the MC for the event tonight? And because I wanted to get his mic checked, and he's like, oh, I forgot to get one. I figured the brands would just come up.
They just do their own thing.
I was like, you can't have that dead space in between the acts. Like it will absolutely kill the night. Like people are gonna get frustrated and antsy, and especially if they're drinking. Like that's not a good look, man. So I grabbed a microphone and I hosted like probably the 2/3 of the night before I turned it over to the tour opener, and then the tour opener took over the rest of the night. Twista was on tour, had his own opener with him, and they were just like on a bus or whatever. But like, getting up in front of a crowd and like hosting the thing and, having to sort of like take over that role in addition to DJing for my MC when it was time for us to perform. Like it completely shifted the tone and vibe for the night, but it also created this really, really high pressure situation where I was like, okay, 20 years I've been doing this. This is my time to shine. I can do this. I know I can do it.
All this out.
This is what I've been training for, and it went off great. But like,
yes,
it was one of those things where it was like super high pressure. And after I was done, I was like, okay, so that's what the high pressure side of that spectrum looks like. What does the low pressure side look like? And then you and I got together. We put this Lo-Fi night together. I went and hosted my first one as a birthday party back in April. Yeah. And I showed up not even with a computer. In 2024, I'm DJing without a computer. I've literally just got two turntables and a box of records. And I was playing one whole side of a record before I would flip it or like put another record down. So it was like literally the lowest key DJ set of my entire life. You know,
People loved
every
it.
20 minutes I would flip a record or whatever, and I would just hang out. And having that super low pressure environment, I think informed the feeling in the room. And so like people were able to relax and sort of enjoy themselves, which is everything that I wanted out of a lo-fi night. And so like, you know, I think when you and I talk about like having live performances, having live music, having, overhauling the sound system, that kind of thing, we're not talking about hosting Metallica.
No, no. And
it's gonna. I
don't want it to be that.
It's just going to be a better experience for people that want to come and hang out, right?
Yeah, we're not looking to get our doors kicked in or anything like that. Like I don't want anyone to show up on one of those nights and be like immediately turned away, because usually that's the thing that happens. It's like, oh, it's gonna be too loud, I don't like this gig. I almost want it to be every show like yours to be super inviting and have like a unique feel to it. And I think with having that boosted sound is going to help a lot with that. But we're of course obviously going to vet the people that come in. But no Metallica.
Well, David, flattery will get you everywhere with me. So
yeah. No, people have honestly been, if I may, like really been enjoying those events.
I was kidding, but okay, please.
I absolutely love background video game music, and the stuff you're playing is super, super fun. And even just working the bar and just like scoping out people, and you can see they'll just be having a normal conversation, and one of them will kind of like perk up. Like, for example, like Dire Docs from Mario will come on. You'll play one of those lines, like a really, really well-known one that someone will kind of be like, I know this one. And like immediately all those like nostalgia memories start coming in, and I could see that. And I'll usually pick up on it. I'll be like, yeah, man, this is one of my favorite songs too. And then we'll just have this huge conversation about like how Mario was one of our favorite games. And it's so fun. It was just so cool to see.
I had no intention of turning this into like Lo-Fi Night, the podcast. That's not what I meant to do, but
it's just such a cool thing.
Yeah, I'm really stoked about it. I'm so glad that we're doing it. Like the response has been just overwhelmingly positive. I have somebody that I don't want to name drop, but they've been a guest on this show before, and they're very they're in a very prolific position in the nerd music community. And they keep bugging me like, hey, when's the next one? When's the next one? Well, like I want the next one. I was glad that I could message them and be like, hey, so we just set a date, July 13th. We're coming back. Boom. We're doing it again. And they were very happy to finally have like a hard date they could put on their calendar and be like, okay, yes, we're doing this again. That's
2 weeks.
So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm as much as I'm looking forward to the Lo-Fi Night, like looking at everything that you're doing with the remodel and everything that you have planned with the esports and how you're planning to sort of like evolve the space into its next form, if I can steal from the Pokemons a little bit.
Our next evolution, sure.
Yeah. I really, really like where things are headed. And I'm like, as much as I'm excited about what's going to be happening next month, I'm stoked to see what it's going to look like next year and what it's going to look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now. Like as this thing
always
continues
changing.
to grow and change. Now, along with establishing your own community of regulars and your own community of like nerds that like to hang out at Vault 31, you also know a lot of the local nerd businesses. I know that you're friends with Double Jump. You know the owner of Kenji's Ramen. And so like, do you feel like those are two different communities, the sort of like patron nerds and then the business owner nerds, or at some point do those lines blur a little bit and they start becoming the same?
As far as myself being an owner with like various patrons, or just like the community of owners versus the community of
just who's hanging out at Vault 31 bar? Like, did these folks come in and buy a drink and
mostly
hang out?
Nerds? No, I don't necessarily see like any of the big wigs. We will occasionally see like Cooper and Abby every now and then when like their staff have birthdays, they treat them here, which I think is super, super cool. That's about the only time we see them. Everyone else, they're kind of busy doing their own thing.
That's really cute, though.
Yeah,
I really love that.
Cool that they do that. Yeah, they always bring their staff here for like birthday parties. It's really fun.
There's there's a video game themed pizza place in Vancouver. Megabyte, yeah.
Is that it? Yeah.
My niece for a long time, she loved going there for her birthday. She's 12, I think. or 11.
All
Yeah, so it's like she's still pretty young, but yeah, there were several years in a row there where we were going to Megabyte because of the video games and the pizza, and because kid friendly. Like you, as much as you talked about, like your cafe is not going to be the next Chuck E. Cheese for nerds.
Right.
Megabyte very much is the classic, like, kid friendly nerdy pizza place where it's like video games and pizza, and all the
Running around
joysticks
and-
on the arcade machines are greasy, and
Oh no.
it's part of
Nope.
it though. Like that, like it's part of it. It's and you know, the pizza's not bad. Like it's definitely a different approach to pizza.
I've heard. I haven't been there, but I've heard. Yeah.
It's a different approach, but it's not bad. I very much enjoyed. I finally had your pizza for the first time
Awesome.
at our last lo-fi night. That was actually the first time I'd ever tried your pizza, and I gotta say, 10 out of 10 would recommend.
That's surprising. That means a lot. Our pizzas it's always been that thing where I kind of feel like it just works. I'm not a pizza expert. I kind of don't know what I'm doing with it, but I'm really excited now that we're getting our walk-in, because we're pretty much just making our dough. We do make our dough and make it every day. And it doesn't have a whole lot of time to like sit and develop flavors because we don't have a lot of storage. So we just use what we make. But now that we can actually like sit on it for a little bit, we can do some real fun stuff with yeast. We can let it kind of sit and develop flavors for a couple of days. I think our pizza game is going to get stepped up here. I'm very excited.
I love to hear that. And I got to tell you, as a kid who grew up both Italian and fat, I've learned that pizza, very similarly to tacos, is one of those things where simpler is better and fresher is better. So a fresh, simple pizza will get you a lot farther in terms of flavor profile and like repeat business than an overly complicated pizza or an overcomplicated taco that, like, you know, maybe is an interesting approach, but maybe isn't sustainable or isn't as fresh as it could have been. You know, it's almost like the more components you add, the more can go sideways.
Yeah, it's like plumbing. The more kinks and bends you have, the more likely you're gonna have a leak or an issue or something's weird, or even just with like simple consistency factor, like getting everything to be consistent all the time. The more pieces, it's harder to do.
Exactly. So with that in mind, that's what I think I found with your pizza was that, you know, that simpler is better approach really worked in your favor. Now, that being said, you seem to be of the opinion that your pizza is about to get a lot better now that you've got this new cooler.
We hope so. We're always trying to improve. I think that's a really fun thing about us, and something that's really unique about us is that we're always trying to improve. We're always trying to make things better. We're not happy with any one thing, which is also like a curse if you think of it.
I am not licensed to deal with that statement.
It's awful. It's a blessing and a curse. No, but
I don't have the doctorate for that.
I'm very excited to begin like longer fermentation processes and messing with different types of yeast, because we're just using instant stuff right now, nothing fancy. So when the cooler that just showed up, when we can start firing that thing up, I think we're gonna get some real fun stuff. We've been fucking around with with like deep dish. And I think that might be a really fun evolution, because I'm a huge Chicago pizza fan. Love me some deep dish. But yeah, constantly doing new stuff.
As I understand it, there is only one place in all of Portland that is properly making Chicago deep dish, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the name of the place.
Is it that Wild Child place? No. I want to go check them out. They're newer-ish. They look rad.
No, this place is a place that opened up like 2 years ago or something. Dang. And I've got a friend of mine who works in the comics business that's from Chicago proper, and he found like the one legit proper deep dish Chicago style joint in town. And like I've had a couple other places that claimed to be Chicago style deep dish, and it was certainly deep dish, and it was certainly delicious. Don't get me wrong, very good. Places that even have Chicago in the name that I'm not going to name drop anybody, but like places that like straight up were billing themselves as Chicago style pizza. Such. But it wasn't. It's like you take a picture of it, it doesn't look like the pictures, right?
Right. Okay.
And so finally, my boy from Chicago, my friend Sean, found a place and like treated himself for his birthday one year and threw some photos up on Facebook for his birthday. This was like 2 years ago. And I was like, what is that? Where did you get that from? I think I even asked him, like, did you have that shipped in? Because that's a thing now where they like flash freeze these deep dish pizzas and ship them all over the world.
My sister did that actually. It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't. Yeah.
So I asked him,
I'm aware of that.
I was like, did you have that shipped or whatever? He's like, no, it's the local spot. Da, da, da. I was like, that has to be the only local spot doing it right. And he's like, yeah, actually, yeah, it's the only one I
Cool. I
found because
wonder.
everybody else is. Yeah. So I'm
You'll
curious,
have to
man.
wake up at like 3 a.m. when you remember what that is and text me.
I'll shoot him a message after we're done here. I'll see if I can find out what the name of the place is. But it's
It'll wake you
in
up. It's
Portland.
on!
If I recall correctly, it's like in North Portland, I think, somewhere
Okay.
somewhere in like that neighborhood.
I need to go on a good like pizza pilgrimage. So yeah, I need to do some studying.
Oh my God. Okay, so Pizza Week happens the same week as my birthday every year.
Oh shoot. Oh
And
shoot.
for
Darn. Oh
several
darn.
for several years, I was doing a pizza crawl instead of a
Oh,
bar
rad.
crawl. Like I would straight up just go have
I'm
I
into
would
that.
go get a slice at all these different pizza places, and I invite friends along. At one point, I was rolling like 12 deep up to
Yeah.
this pizza place, and I realized very quickly that doing that downtown Portland was a massive mistake.
Yeah. Not hard.
Because the thing about Pizza Week is every pizza joint is busy. Like they
Yeah,
all
right.
get hella busy, and especially like the later on in the day you go. Like if I tried to roll up with 12 friends at 6:30 on a Tuesday during Pizza Week, not happening. Just not gonna find a place to sit. Not gonna have room for everybody. Like no way. So yeah, so I did that for a couple of years. This year's been a little bit different because I'm on some new meds and I'm trying to lose weight and it's a whole thing. So I've had to kind of like, back off of the pizza crawl. But if you happen to be born third week of April, congratulations. Come to Portland,
Pizza
have yourself
week.
a pizza crawl. I strongly recommend anybody that's got
Great
the
idea.
stomach for it, like for sure do it. It's amazing.
Oh,
Do
terrifying.
you to turn it back onto the bar though? Like, so do you guys participate in any of those kind of like food week things? Any burger week? Any kind of nacho week thing going on for you
There's
guys?
not too many. I mean, on the Vancouver side, that's not really a thing that happens too often. Or if it is, I don't know anything about it. Like, I guess I'm out of
Mm,
that loop. I know there's been a couple like Dine the Couve things, which is kind of like a book that you buy of a bunch of participating restaurants, bars, whatever, and they have like like a $20 deal or a meal and whatever. We've done that once, but it was kind of like so.
mm,
We're kind of just pretty content just doing our own thing or partnering directly with like other people or other businesses and kind of doing that way. Not
okay.
opposed to it. It's just not. I haven't seen a whole lot of it up here on this side of the river, at least. Yeah, Portland gets all the really cool, fun like week things. We get Burger Week, a Pizza Week. I just saw there's like a Geek Week coming up.
uh,
There's a whole bunch of like Comic Con stuff. Like they all the fun stuff.
yeah. So Geek Week PDX. I just had David from Geek Week PDX on the show.
Yeah,
And that whole conversation was so fascinating because it's like he has unlocked the code for what we were trying to accomplish 10 years ago with the Portland
good.
Geek Council.
Someone did it. I'm glad.
And yeah, oh no, that's absolutely what I told him. I was like, dude, we were trying to do something like this 10 years ago, but we weren't making it work. And I think the trick is with something like the Geek Council, we had several people's opinions in the room, and everybody was basically like, it's a committee. It's a committee of people trying to host and organize a series of events, versus something like what David's doing, where it's like it's his thing and he's in charge, and he values the opinions of other people, and he calls on the opinions of other people to sort of
Mhm.
solve problems and address issues when it comes to like the organization of the whole thing. But at the end of the day, it's his call. And
Right.
I think that there is something to be said for that when it comes to, moving faster and getting things done on, quicker. You don't have to call a whole meeting. You don't have to get everybody's schedules to line up so you can sit down and have a conversation about a thing that takes
Herding
3
cats.
weeks. Yeah. Or as he put it, herding goblins.
Herding goblins. Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a really fascinating conversation to have. But like, one of the things that I was talking to him about was like, there is some cool stuff happening on the Vancouver side. And, I keep trying to tell people, like, as cool and fun and interesting as the Portland geek community is, Vancouver's right across the river, and there's some cool stuff happening in Vancouver. And like, in my mind, just maybe it's because I grew up in the Portland area. Maybe it's because I've been, in the event world for as long as I have been. But like, I kind of see Vancouver as an extension of Portland in terms of like nightlife and stuff to do, right?
Yeah, we're the second biggest city in Portland.
I've always heard third biggest city in Oregon.
Sure, we'll take that too.
Right behind Portland and Eugene.
Mhm.
But that's just it, man. Like Vancouver's so close to Portland, and so many of the businesses are tied together, and so many of the interests are tied together. So like, I don't see any reason why folks from Portland wouldn't be down to come to Vancouver and hang out if it was a place like Vault 31 that was like cool enough to be worth the drive.
We have that conversation a lot. We as in like the global we here over the river don't understand why people are so afraid to come over here, but it almost seems like that way because I've got friends that are literally like a 10-15 minute drive away, which not that far. Yeah. But it's because we're in Vancouver, like, oh, it's too far. I don't want to deal with it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Sucks, man.
I've seen that with a lot of folks in Portland proper. And maybe it's just a city mindset, like a large city mindset. But folks who grew up in the suburbs, like I grew up in Oregon City, man. So like going, I didn't even go to high school in the same city. Like, I literally every day I would drive to the next city over to go to high school.
Its nickname is Bridgetown.
I mean, so like I don't really understand that mindset of like I don't feel like leaving Portland to go do something like when Portland has everything I could need. And it's like, sure, Portland might have everything you need.
Yeah, arguably, sure.
But I promise you, I have not found better ramen in Portland than Kenji's. I promise you, I have not found a more contemporary esports interested modern nerd focused space like Vault 31 Bar. Our friends at Retro Game Bar, I love Retro Game Bar. I helped them open up.
RGB's great.
RGB's great. The owners are great. Jason and his wife are fantastic. But there's the retro gaming side of things, and that's really the focus of that space. And then there's all of the other folks that aren't necessarily about just retro gaming. Like they want, modern and contemporary stuff. They might want esports. They might want TCGs. They might
want
want
DLC.
Yeah. God forbid they pull up a chair and sit down to a PS5.
Yeah.
And not a PS2.
We have 10 games now for the PS5. So I think that actually puts us at the largest PS5 collection in the world. Yeah. 10
Hang
games.
On. Wait. So
I think we have more. No.
So what you're saying is you have all 10 PS5
all 10
games?
PS5. Yes. Yeah. No, we've got a lot more than that. We just added a few more, but people make that joke all the time. It's really funny. The massive PS5 collection.
In the first year, Sony's always kind of done that. Like the first year console library has always been a little sparse. Let's go with sparse. But like every other PlayStation console before it, I'm sure they'll have a ridiculous library by year 3.
Too bad I can't play any of my old games on it. No.
Is the PS5 not backwards compatible? Well, PS4 it is, but
that's a spicy topic for me. Me and Sony, we got some problems.
Should we save that for the after show?
That's fine. There's not a company. Nintendo's guilty of this too. Apple as well. I'll lump them all in the same one. No, those 3 companies hate their customers. Hate them with a passion. Just hate them.
Adobe.
And I'll leave it at that. Sure, I'll rope it up. That's another show as well. I am actually dealing with some pain with Adobe right now. Oh, I am dealing with some pain.
Hang on. So that was, who were those companies again? That was Apple and Adobe and
Nintendo, Sony. They just hate their customers. Actively hate them.
I have such a love-hate relationship with Nintendo because I love their stuff so much, but but they're so quick to sue creators. They're so quick to for
the silliest thing. I'm
go
not
after
surprised.
YouTube channels for the dumbest little stuff.
I'm not surprised.
It's almost like their lawyers are bored. Like their lawyers need shit to do.
Something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nintendo is so good at giving everybody what they want, but not the way they want it. They'll give you everything you want. As Super Mario RPG, we've been wanting another Super Mario RPG for years. How about a remake? All right, well, sure. I mean, that's one example of like a million. They give you everything you want, but never the way you want it.
Man, just release just release Wind Waker for the Switch. Just do it.
Yeah, come on.
Wind Waker and Twilight Princess for the Switch.
Jeez.
Come on. Although that new Zelda game does look pretty sick.
Oh, you play as Zelda? Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, where you play Zelda. Yeah. I'm super stoked. So that comes out. Here's a fun fact. It comes out the day before the Portland Retro Gaming Expo.
Oh, that's
so I'm gonna try to get my pre-order, especially because like I can't really talk about it too much yet, but I got a new job today. So I am for sure gonna put in my pre-order for that new Zelda game and try to get it like day one if I can. Nice. So that I can roll up to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo with a copy of that new Zelda game, like playing on a projector screen or something behind me. I am so stoked about that. And that's something that like, cause they gave me a video wall in 2022 at the Retro Gaming Expo. And it was just, the reason for that was because basically like the AV guy that does all of the sound and lighting stuff for the show, like he had gotten a video wall recently and wanted to play with it. And so like he set it up in my DJ booth. He's like, here, Switch, you get a video wall this weekend. I'm like, okay. Twist my arm, why don't you? And so ever since,
it's like all the Legends.
Yeah, well, no, I straight up, I hooked up my Genesis Mini to it, and I was playing Sonic beautiful. On a big video. Yeah, not even kidding, man. Like I ran it through OBS so that I could throw my logo on top of it, and I was playing Sonic with my logo on top of it on the video wall while one of my DJs was playing music. Like it was the sickest thing ever. And ever since I've been obsessed with like, okay, if I can, how much are TVs right now? If I could buy 4 of these TVs or if I can, let's see, projector screens are not that much, but the problem is the projectors are expensive, but they're coming down in price. So I have been watching short throw projector prices drop like a rock this year.
Yeah. I'm keeping my eye out for the cafe too.
I'm so close. I'm still running a laptop from 2018. So like I'm a little bit limited on what I can do with my video stuff.
Output wise, right?
Because the laptop I have, I don't know why they ever thought this was a good idea, but it has soldered RAM. So I'm stuck with 8 gigs of DDR4 and it's the worst.
SODIMMs, yeah.
And then even worse than that is it's got a 1050. So like
yeah.
I can run my DJ software or I can run OBS, but I can't run both.
Both, right? Yep.
This has turned into a therapy session. I'm sorry, man.
Hardware therapy. Oh, we're good.
This is nerd bitching with DJ Switch. Actually,
hey, ooh.
I kind of like
write that one down.
You know, maybe we get back into. What do you think about live streaming once a week from the bar?
Live streaming once a week?
Like we do a live stream show like on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I've been looking
We'll talk more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Listen, David, where can people follow Vault 31 Bar on socials? Like, where can people find you? Like, how does that work?
We're Vault 31 Bar and everything. Best thing to do is actually just go to vault31bar.com. It's going to link you to our social. It's going to link you to our Discord. We have an awesome Discord community. You'll see updates on there, all kinds of fun stuff. Yeah, head to the website. I know it's a little old school, but it's like our link tree or whatever people use nowadays.
I mean, but
you'll find everything on there. Yeah, you'll find our menu and stuff on there.
Event calendar, all that stuff.
Event calendar. We're a little dry right now for events. You know, we're busy with some stuff. But
remodeling and whatnot.
Yeah. But we're hoping to get in some big tournaments here. Some shoutcasting opportunities are going to be coming up here relatively soon when we get stuff ramped up. And
hint.
Yeah. So once we like open the thing next door, we're going to like start sprinting and getting stuff going. It's gonna be fun.
That's so dope.
Or it'll burn all down. I don't know.
Well, David, listen, thank you very much for coming on today. And
thank you. I really appreciate it. Of course.
Folks, thank you so much for sticking around to the very end of this special episode of Pick Up and Play. Of course, as always, if you want even more content, you can find that over on the Patreon. I've got extra content for every single episode that I've recorded, and that's all available to watch ad-free at patreon.com/DJSwitchPDX. You can support the show and you get extra content. And once I get some more folks in the Patreon, I'll be able to start having conversations about like what kind of future content you want to see, what kind of future episodes, future guests, that sort of thing. I would love to be able to have those conversations with you folks, but those conversations are definitely going to happen at patreon.com/DJSwitchPDX. So get over there and support your boy, because I am just getting started. I know a lot of folks say that. A lot of folks have big dreams, but this podcast has already taken me places I wasn't expecting to go. And I am so excited for the future of this show, and I want you all to be a part of it. So patreon.com/DJSwitchPDX. You can become a patron, help me pay the bills, make sure that the tools are taken care of that I need to be able to run this show, and I can continue to do bigger, better, cooler things. With all of that said, thank you so much for watching, and I cannot wait to see you next week right here on Pick Up and Play.